Welcome back. Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And we told you we're going to continue to share life experiences. We have another amazing guest, Michelle Padgett, and it aligns with October Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we're going to have Michelle come up and introduce herself. And then, as you know, City Sid is going to kick off that first question. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for being
Thank you, ladies. It's an
and we're
honor to
coming
be here
from
with
Mexico.
you. Thank
You're in
you so much.
Mexico, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm sorry, Michelle. If you could come up and introduce yourself, I cut you off. I apologize.
That's okay. I think there's a little bit of problem with the what's the the interference, but are you there?
Yeah, we're here. You're up. We just brought you up to full screen.
Okay, so my name is Michelle Padgett. I am a survivor of decades of domestic violence, sexual abuse, as well as uh, narcissistic abuse. I am also a trauma healing coach. I help mainly women and also children, some gentlemen too, all over the world, to heal their soul from traumas due to childhood traumas, as well as, incidences such as domestic violence or things that have transpired in their life. Also, I'm an author. I'm a two-time best-selling author, as well as I am an international speaker and a minister. So that's a little intro of me. Thank you, ladies, again for allowing me this opportunity to be able to share my heart and share with you a little bit about my story. So thank you, Demetria. Thank you, Sid.
My
And thank
pleasure.
you again. Now, we do want to always start with all of our guests at the beginning of their journey. So tell us a little bit about how you grew up, your home structure, what was life like in those adolescent years, and if you experienced any trauma as well.
Sure, I would love to. Um, I came from a two-parent family, a very middle-class family. My father was a workaholic, so my dad worked all the time. So did my mom. We had multiple businesses, and so I came from a very small town of 120 people. My abuse and trauma actually began as a very young child and stemmed into my teen years, and then went into my adult life where I made some very poor decisions in my adult life, which led me to many, many years of domestic violence as a result of the traumas that I experienced, even from a child. So, yeah, that's a little bit about what I personally experienced. Yeah, as a child, growing up, like I said, my father, he worked all the time. A great man, had to work constantly because there were six children to support. And my mom also, she worked a lot too. And so we were actually left home alone a lot as a result, or left with babysitters as a result of mom leaving or older siblings. So that's where my trauma began in my very, very young years, from my actually my toddler years, and transpired and went into different parts of abuse throughout my childhood, of sexual abuse throughout my childhood from older neighbors, and then to, like I say, very, very poor choices in my adult life where I felt like I should be the rescuer.
I just want to ask before we get into it, are you open to talking about your sexual abuse as a child?
Yeah, I don't. never opposed to talking about the things that transpired. I'm very healed from the things that transpired, and I've also walked through a lot of forgiveness, which I feel that forgiveness is the biggest key that we as survivors have to go through in order to be able to get to the other side of healing.
Agreed. That's why we do the work that we do, to have those resources to help someone else that may be challenged with what we have been through. I want to ask, how old? I know you mentioned a toddler. How old were you when your sexual abuse started as a child, and did your parents notice a change within you?
Well, like I said, because they worked all the time, their focus was, being providers. Um, do they actually know? Did they actually? I don't believe my father knew anything, to be honest with you. My mother, yes, I definitely believe my mother may have known, but she was so consumed in, being a mother to six children, as well as trying to run businesses and keep the household. So uh, yeah, I believe that she definitely knew. I just don't think that. I think it was kind of just swept under the carpet.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, but um, did you, I mean, who do you know who this was that was doing this to you? Was it a close friend or family? The sitters, like
Absolutely. Mhm. Yeah, I was actually raped by several different young men in the community, which were teens at the time, and they happened to be friends of the family or friends of my older sibling. So, yeah.
Did you ever say anything, Michelle, or it just happened and you kind of went in your shell?
Well, I did, and as a little girl, I did. It was brought to the attention of my parents, um, and like I said, it was pretty much basically swept under the rug, so to speak. I did end up in the hospital, and they had to do a surgery, and it was brought to my mother's attention, but it was like I said that she kind of like passed. It was kind of like she didn't want to accept it, but I believe that was because of her own traumas from her own life.
um, you said that you had siblings. I don't know how far in age you all were, but what have you concluded that made you um, so vulnerable to this happening, or why is it that it was you that they were bothering, that they kind of targeted in a way? Was there like a reason why that you came to a conclusion of, or um, was there just talk amongst themselves that, hey, she's usually alone with her by herself a lot of the time, like how, especially at such a young age, how was that even, I guess, translated?
Well, when sexual abuse happens from a very young age, you really don't understand, good touch and bad touch. And uh, in my situation, these older children, um, I wasn't the only one. It was actually it took place throughout our town, throughout our village, because I lived in a village basically, and so it took place about our village, and it we had five girls and one boy, And I think a lot of it had to do with they had addictions, and even from their teen years they had addictions. And I think that when somebody has an addiction, and I believe that it also happened to them, that, the cycle of destruction actually will continue itself if it's not broken. And I don't believe the cycle was broken. And so I believe that, God created me to be the cycle breaker. And that's, that's kind of how it went.
Whoa, that is deep, Michelle. Can I ask really quick, do you feel as though your town could have been like a small cult, and the practices, 120 people, um bad behaviors, and y'all had no one to step up for y'all?
No. We did not. It's interesting you say that about a cult. I never honestly ever looked at it that way. I never thought of it being that way. Uh, the way it was designed, I'll give you a little bit of a description. Like the old country towns where they have like one post office and a couple businesses, and they have like the one little church or two little churches, and maybe like a gas station or a Dairy Queen. That's and a beer distributor. That is exactly what my town was like. It was a little tiny, basically a village. I like to say, because we had 120 people in our town. My family took up a lot of it. And parents' friends. So my parents were lucrative business owners in our area, in our village, basically. So I don't know. I mean, you tell me, Demetria, would you say that that could be a cult? I don't know. And these young boys kind of like ran the town. So yeah.
I feel like it sounds like a cult to me if these are practices and behaviors and people know about it, and they're just sweeping it under the rug.
I think that their heads were so far in the sand
Mhm.
that they were in denial, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
And
but
I
it also
know
depends on how
couple
many
I know
people.
a couple of the young ladies that it transpired to also eventually came out and spoke up in their adult life to say, what transpired to them as a child. So yeah, I like to call it, honestly, I call it the little town of horrors, because that's not, and not horror as in, horrors is in WHORE, but horrors is in HORRORS. Let's get it checked. Let's get it straight.
Yeah,
Um, what do you feel, or how do you feel, as a child that the abuse most affected you? Was it like your schoolwork? Was it your self-esteem, your personality, anger? Like what did it affect the most, or what if you felt what's going on with you at any time, while you were young?
Well, it's wild. When I was a child, I was very active. I was labeled as basic as ADHD, and which is a side effect, actually, of children who've been sexually abused. This is one of the signs of a child who's been violated. And I was very, very active as a child. I was a gymnast, I was a cheerleader, I was a dancer, I was a majorette leader, head majorette. I was in brownies, I was in Girl Scouts, I was in foreign language. I represented our community as a goodwill ambassador, as a princess for our community. Um, uh, I mean, I stayed very, very active to try to suppress um all that was going on behind the scenes. I tried to stay away from home. So that was a little bit um about my dynamic, my personal dynamic. I tried to stay as far away as possible, even though it was unavoidable, because it was in my, right there in my face every day. I get on the school bus, the boys were there. I come home from school, their parents work for my parents. There's always somebody together. And I, as a child, how would I explain my own personal? I was the one who was tried to do everything to please my mom and dad, to make my parents happy, to not disappoint them. Does that answer your question, Sid?
Yes, it does. Yes.
And I wanted to ask, you're always around these people, you're facing them mentally when you didn't have the majorette and all the activities going on in school. How did you cope without that? Or if you could let the audience know how it made you feel, what was your reaction? Was depression, stress? Did you cry a lot? What was the behind when you couldn't go to anything to suppress what you were going through?
When I wasn't active, I was a loner. And I loved to be alone. I loved to write. And I would go out on the hillside by myself, and I would take my little blanket and go out on the hillside and talk to God. Actually, I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I was talking to God and crying and sharing my heart with God, because I felt that I had nowhere to really turn to. Um, and I didn't understand, as a child. As an adult, I do, but as a child, I did not understand.
You talked about the adults really, kind of just letting it go in one ear and out the other, sweeping it under the rug. Um, did you have any of these discussions amongst your peers? Not necessarily people that could have done anything, significant, but um, you know, just as venting, or somebody that you did say it was going on in and around the town. So, was there anybody that you had connected to that it happened to as well? Did you have any peer understanding at this time?
When I was a child, I love to be around old people. I love to just take all of my love and my heart and everything and just help the old people in the town, the elderly. But I I really, really, really expressed it through my writing. That was my outlet for everything, and my dance, and my physical activities was like my major expression of who I was and what I was personally the struggles that I was going through as a child. It didn't happen like every single day, but it would happen all throughout the childhood. And then I was gang raped when I was 14 years old by two boys in the town, and that hogtied me and took advantage of me. And that really, really honestly messed me up inside. I became very depressed. I became very suicidal. I didn't want to live. I tried to express to my parents what was happening. Instead, I got punished instead, and because my father didn't understand what was really, really going on. He was dealing with a lot with teenagers, and um, uh, an older one that was pregnant with triplets, and all of us, dealing with 5 children is a lot, and then grandchildren, that's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility and businesses and work and so on and so forth. So I don't really blame my parents for anything, um, because my parents aren't the one that's responsible, but I think we have to put responsibility and accountability where it lies, and it lies in the perpetrator.
Um, I want to ask, God, hogtied. I'm sorry. Um, how did it make you feel that your parents didn't believe you? And I guess the loneliness. I know you went into the suicidal piece of it. I just want to get the audience to see going through this and getting help, how they can navigate through situations, because there's so many people that go through this and it's not talked about. Um, just how mentally, what changes did you go through? What were the signs? And even going into suicide, did you attempt suicide? And did your parents ever apologize?
That's a lot, Demetria. What I would have to say is I didn't know as a child how to cope with everything. Um, I was very depressed. I tried not to show it. I tried to always put a smile on my face, but deep down inside, I was dying. And, I, wow, you're really making me reflect right now. And I'm getting a little emotional, um, because the pain, it took me a lot of years to deal with the pain. It caused me, and I'm going to be very honest and forthright with you ladies, and this is beautiful, because we are different races. It had me to hate my own race. I hated my own race because of it. I thought that the white man was the devil, and it caused me to turn towards the black race, um, for comfort and support. And that's how I ended up in my adult life in abuse.
That is deep. That is very deep.
Now what?
I'm just being straight up frank with you. Like it did. It really did. I tried to be with white men, and I could not. The pain was so deep, and I was so broken as a teenager, going into my adult life. I was so broken from white men with different pigmentation, basically, red hair, blonde hair, dark hair. So therefore, I equated all white men as evil. Uh, yeah, it's very, very honest. And then I turned towards the black. I turned towards the black race, um, when I got became an adult.
Now, you did say, a lot of your experiences while you were young kind of shaped some of the decisions that you made going into adulthood. So, what would you say, was the first significant bad choice that you made? Give us a little bit about that situation.
Oh, honey, let me tell you something. I was the queen of bad choices, okay? Because I didn't know right from wrong. I tried. When I was 16 going on 17, I graduated. Uh, um, what I decided is 3 days after high school, I left to go start my life on my own. I went to up north to the Massachusetts area, and I became a professional nanny. And for a family, and I was all to get away from that little town of horrors, like I told you, because I was so traumatized. I thought that if I ran, that I would be able to cope with everything, that I would be able to get by and move on. What ended up happening was, as an adult, I ended up meeting somebody who happened to be a little older, and it ended up where this individual really traumatized me. He happened to be it's a crazy story, but this guy happened to be older than me, red haired guy, Irish guy, and firefighter. And I happened I was so naive and trusting with this guy, and happened to be, he was engaged to another woman. And it ends up coming out, I flew him to my hometown to meet my family, and so on and so forth. And the fiance contacts me. I'm like 17 and 18 years old at the time, and contacts me and lets me know that they were engaged to be married in 3 days. So I ended up making bad choice after choice. And I also felt like it was my responsibility to take care of men. It was my responsibility to make sure that whoever it was that I was with, that they were treated like a king, and I was just the servant.
All too familiar. I know what I've been there, been there. I
Yeah,
want to,
for real.
yeah, for real. Oh yeah, yeah. That's what led me to getting brutally beaten, stabbed 6 times. So yeah, all too familiar.
Mm.
That we we learn
Sweetheart,
from those.
you're an inspiration. When you told me a little of your testimony, I just want to let you know you're truly an inspiration. And it's an honor to know you. And I just want to let you know, I'm speaking from my ministerial perspective. God has amazing things in store for you. That your story is going to bring so much glory to the Lord and to so many people. You're going to impact millions and millions of lives with that incredible story that you have of transformation. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you. And I don't want to make this about me. I appreciate that so much. I want to get your testimony out, but thank you. I have tears in my eyes. Thank you so much. We're not going to stop this work. We're going to keep going because it's testimonies like yours as well that is so impactful and powerful, and the struggles that you went through to lead you where you are today. You're going to touch so many
Sure,
lives.
sure. I can tell you all about my adult choices that were bad choices too.
Yeah, and I want to go into, because I want to go back to, you said you hated white men, but you turned to the Black community and you went through some domestic violence. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because the point that I want to make is no matter the race, there's hurt and pain that lies in many, and that hurt and pain hurts other people. So I just want to, that's why we're not about one race, we're about all races, because trauma lies deep and heavy in all communities.
Yeah, I can honestly tell you I've dealt with the white, black, Hispanic, and islands, so and Haitian. So I can tell you from all over there is trauma that transpires, and if you don't deal with the root cause, it's gonna catch up to you. It's gonna cycles, the destructive cycles and patterns will continue. So yeah, I started out with after my late teens, and dealing with the white Irishman. I got involved with another a white man. I got engaged, and I couldn't be intimate. I couldn't be intimate with him. I Because of the things that transpired in my own life. It was very, very difficult for me. So I turned and ended up getting a black boyfriend, and who ended up becoming my kid's father. And he happened to be a dual addict. He was an alcoholic and a crack addict. And I myself didn't have any addictions, but it ended up being that he became my addiction. He Wow, my abuse, wow. I was beaten a lot. I was stabbed. He set me and my daughter the blankets on fire, and put burning a hot, um gosh, hold on one second. He put a Bic lighter on my skin and burnt my skin. He stabbed me. Um, he beat me with a baseball bat in the back of my head and left me to die in the woods when I was 6.5 months pregnant with our second child. Yeah, I lost my speech, my vision, my hearing, and I was paralyzed down the left quadrant of my upper left quadrant of my body. And I'm honestly a walking, living, talking, breathing miracle, just like you are, Demetria. So that's a little bit about my first experience that I went through, dealing with switching cultures to try to look. I like to say it, looking for love in all the wrong places, searching for love in too many faces. It doesn't matter what race, whatever. It's the spirit that's behind it that is attracted to you. And as a result of it, it's ultimately there to still kill and destroy.
And I want to ask before Sid's next question, I just want to make sure that you're okay, because this is a lot and we're still going. So we have more questions and it's probably going to get deeper. So I just want to check and make sure that you're okay. Mhm. Okay.
Go for it. Ask me anything, hon.
Well, I know, with that kind of bombshell you just dropped on us there, our viewers kind of probably want to know a little bit more about the situation, in the woods. How did we even like get here? I'm pretty sure it was something extremely petty or small, and that's how that works. But how did you end up in that situation? How did he put you in that situation?
This was a very, I don't know how to describe this to you, ladies. My children's father, my baby's dad, kid's father, whatever you want to call him, he had this idea in his head that white women were to be slaves. and he told me that that I was to be his slave because of all of the things that his ancestors went through, that it was payback for all that they went through. And so he literally put me through hell as a result of his sick, demonic ideologies and thinking. Yeah, so that was his way of thinking, that me as a white woman, that I was called to be a slave and to pay back in a form of like reparation for, the sins of my forefathers.
Damn, you can't. It's like you almost couldn't get away from just being punished. Um,
No.
I want to ask, how long did you stay in the relationship, and what made you, when you left, what made you get up? What was the turning point? So you was like, I had enough, I'm leaving.
Well, I'll back that up a little bit before we get to that point. So, when he brutally assaulted me and left me to die in the woods, alongside the woods, and I had the miraculous recovery because I was in the hospital. They thought I was going to die. They actually called my family in to see who was the power of attorney, like who's going to sign things over if something happened. And I made this absolute miraculous turn of events. Um, and I have to tell you, this is where my faith comes in, because I had encounters during that time that really, I know without a shadow of a doubt that it was God's divine intervention that saved my life. So that I could be here, like for speaking for like such a time as this, to be able to share my story with the world. But what happened was, he ended up going to, we went to court, and the family, the family threatened me and told me they were going to kill me and kill my children and kill my family if I put him in prison. And so I went on the stand and I pled the fifth, and I told them that I couldn't testify. And, this was before the O.J. Simpson case took place. So they had to have the victim testimony, even though they had the witness of 17 doctors, three people that walked past me, laying half dead on the ground. They had the police report, they had the detectives, they had everything. They, eh, without my testimony, they were not able to proceed. So I ended up walking in forgiveness. Believe it or not, I ended up walking in forgiveness and taking him back. I was tricked to take him back from his family. And we ended up having two more children after that. But what had happened was I ended up escaping in the middle of the night with two of my children on a bus, and fleeing to another state, and going into a shelter of into another state, because I knew if I didn't get away that I was going to die. So yeah, that's a little bit about some of the extent of the degree of domestic violence that I went through, and that my children, especially my two oldest children, that they began to witness.
My gosh. Um, with your recovery, was I believe you said, or, just from you speaking, was the baby okay? Was there any complications there? And do you have any kind of lasting issues, health issues, or, anything? Do you have any remnants of, or are you living with any remnants of those injuries?
Yeah, great question, Sid. So, I lost the hearing. I lost the hearing in my left ear almost. It was like 90% of pardon me, the hearing in my left ear. I lost my speech. My brain. They diagnosed me with permanent brain damage. Uh, and said that told my mother that I would never recover, that I would never be normal again. They told her that I would never speak again. They told her that I would probably be paralyzed through the upper left quadrant of my body. And all I can tell you, ladies, is and tell your audience, it was divine. I'm truly a divine miracle, just like Dimitri. I'm a miracle. I'm God's miracle, and that's why I live to release the gospel of Jesus Christ, because of everything that I went through in my life and how God saved me so many times, that I need to let people know how real that the miraculous power, the wonder working power of God is so amazing, and that He can transform your life just like He transformed my life. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, ladies, on that. You guys
Look,
keep
that's
catching
a
me. I'm kind of like overwhelmed.
that is a lot. I want to ask, after um you dislike the white race, now you're in the black race, and you're going through abuse, and it could, if you bow, there's no, but this is brutal. um did you hate the black race after, because now you have 3 kids? um and if you did, like, what was the impact of that, having 3 black children, mixed kids?
You know,
How
it's
did you cope?
it's
And
crazy, but like I I continued with the black culture, and then I ended up with another bad apple. And when I ended up with the other bad apple, uh, I ended up with the other bad apple. He ended up doing very similar kind of things, a little bit more destructive too. Each one was getting a little worse. Um, that led up to the final thing, but uh he, on the other hand, he was a cheater, and he cheated on me, and he ended up getting somebody pregnant behind my back. And I continued with the black culture. And then after that, I turned towards the white race, back towards the white race. Uh, I tried again. My family's like, "Hey, you had bad luck there. Why don't you go ahead and if you want to date, why don't you try to date a white man?" So I did, and another rescue situation. I was always the rescuer, trying to be these men's rescue. My mom liked to call it like this. She would say to me, "Mick, quit trying to play Jesus Christ," because I was always trying to save a man. I was always trying to save people. I don't know, Demetria, were you like that too?
I absolutely was. I call it, I put others before I put myself. I always put myself last. So I didn't even know the meaning of love. I'm just realizing within the last few years what love
Yep.
is, because of everything that I went through, from childhood to
Yeah.
adulthood. And, it's very important for others to, you have to come first. Like, God is always first, because he's the creator. But I hear a lot of people say, I put my kids first, and then me. No, you have to put yourself first, because mentally, how can you take care of your kids if you're not healthy, if you're not putting yourself first? So it just changed my
Very,
outlook
very
on
true.
life. Yeah. So Now I'm first. God,
Yeah.
all he gets the praise. But if you look at the chain, like if we that our faith is here, but God, then me, then everything else, and that's just where I'm at, because I always put a man, I always did. I paid for food, I did, I had the men that wanted to be and take care of me. Those are the ones that I pushed away. It was the needy. It's like men prey on women that have themselves together. It's almost like a job to them. It's like you'll meet them and they're doing good and they're doing this and that, but when you get in that relationship with them, they're trying to move in, and then where they used to pay, you start paying for everything. It just changed once they get you, and you're so blind with love. You're like, oh, I love this man, and this is a part of it, but it's actually taking advantage. But where I'm at life is because through the traumas, I had to look at myself and I had to take accountability too, because I had to
Yes.
ask myself, why do I continue to put myself in these situations? And it was because of the trauma. But we have a choice. We
Yes.
have a choice to say no. So in every situation, if I would have said no, I would have never been in that situation, and I would have been able to take myself out of that situation. So that's what healing has done for me. It's allowed me to look at situations, it's allowed me to say no, and it's allowed me to
Hmm.
not allow people to take advantage of me, because we allow that. If we say no, they can't take advantage of us. We're not
Right.
going to take care of them. So, we have to get that, but trauma will put us in these places blindly because we're used to the trauma, so we think it's normal.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct. The problem is that we devalue ourselves. We don't know our worth and our value, and we don't know our true identity, and that for me, like, my faith was my anchor. And in every situation, it came back to my faith. My faith was my anchor. And the craziest thing is every man that I was with, do you know, I led each and every one of them to the Lord. Every single one of them, I led them to the Lord right in the end of the relationship. um I don't understand it. I probably never will understand it until the day that I, meet my maker. But I would lead them all to Jesus. And instead of, trying to get them back to me, I would say, you know what? I just want to see you saved. I just want to see your soul not in danger. And but the thing was, I was such a rescuer, and I was such a doormat because I was so brainwashed by men that I didn't understand who Michelle was. And I would look in the mirror and say, "Who are you?" And I wrote a poem one time and said, "Who am I? Like, who am I when I look in the mirror? Am I the little girl with all the dreams, the hopes and the dreams? Or am I the adult with all of the regrets of if I should have, if I could have, if I would have? Who am I when I look in that mirror? Am I the one that's so shattered and broken that can't be put back together? Or am I still that little girl, that's innocent little child that's inside of me saying, hey, I want to come out and play. I want to be a dancer. I want to be a writer. I want to be a singer. I want to change the world. I want to help all the women in the world and the children in the world. Who am I? And I had to get to that realization to find me. When I found me, that's when things began to change in my life. That's when I began to value me and put me first. But to be honest, I did not even trust God, because God represented a male to me. So putting trust in God was like, wait a minute. If I can't trust a male, how can I trust you? So I had to walk through the process of learning how to trust God with every area of my life, instead of Michelle leaning on her own understanding. And I had to go through a lot of inner healing, a lot of deliverance, a lot of inner healing to really get out that pain, that shame, that guilt, that condemnation, that rage, that bitterness, that unforgiveness. And, this is what led me to the place where I'm at today.
I'm sorry, guys, my mic wasn't working. But
You're
what?
fine, hon.
Thank you. What do you feel was the most significant either achievement, boundary set, decision that kind of let you know that your healing was going in the right direction? Or what was it that something bad that you were able to maneuver around, just kind of knowing what you know now? What have you been proud of, in your healing?
Sid, I love that question.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, it was learning to say the word no. When I learned to say the word no, my whole, it was like weights begin to fall off my shoulders. Like, whoa, I am taking a stand and saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to put your hands on me. No, I'm not going to allow you to verbally abuse me, emotionally abuse me, psychologically abuse me, sexually abuse me. I was not put here to be a doormat. And I was not put here to be a slave. And I was not put here to be your yes man or your yes woman, because I have purpose and I have destiny. That was my turning point. And some of my biggest achievements. Wow. You know, I I've achieved several things, and my biggest goal is to leave a legacy for my children, but to leave a legacy of hope for women and and children all over the world. I am an author. So I've been in two collaborative books where I've been able to share parts of my story, the power of forgiveness, a little bit about my whole testimony, and just a conglomeration, just putting it all together. Um, just actually this week, I'm going to be featured in a magazine called DWC, and it's an international magazine. I'm on the cover feature of a magazine of 88 million subscribers, 88 million men and women all over the world. Many, many, many survivors, many people who are going through domestic violence in the Middle East and Africa and Europe and all over the world. And this really touches my heart, and I'm actually working on a new two new books, ladies. So this is some of my things that I've, and I'm coming out of my hiding now. I'm coming out of my cave, like I like to say, uh, using my creativity, but starting to step out more into the speaking arena and do podcasts. You guys, this is my first podcast that I've actually done in regards to Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's my first one that I've done in many, many years. And yeah, here I am.
Okay. And really quick, we're almost at time. I just have one really quick question. Did the population change in your old town where you grew up at? And do you think that the history is still repeating itself there?
No, I do not. I Everybody left or passed away. And so I believe that to a degree, yes, and to a degree, no. From what I'm so far away, like I'm the whole ways across the United States of America, the whole ways across the country, and I've never turned back. I've never looked back. From what I've understood, though, that there's still drugs are still a problem there, alcohol is still a problem there. What goes on in the little town of horrors, I don't know. I know that they've expanded and they've ran a highway through there now, so I know population has grown tremendously. uh I do not know anybody actually who lives there anymore.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know. I had to ask. So we're almost at
Yeah.
time. Mhm. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's amazing that you would even come up with that. But it's probably somewhere there in the environment, but it's not. Things like that aren't always out in the open. Little things like that come from little, basically white towns, stuff like that. You don't hear a lot of that out in the open, but it happens all the time.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's why we're here to talk
All
about
the
it
time.
all the time. It does, and we're here to talk
All the
about
time.
it. So we're almost at time. I want to ask if you can give the audience advice from your personal life experience of ways that help you heal through this journey, some of the techniques that you use to help you. If you could just give them advice, why it's important to start this journey to healing from your life experience.
Number one, I will always go back to my faith. Cling to God. Cling to Jesus. Cling to the cross. Jesus is really our only hope. And I'm telling you, that's what saved my life. And I'm not trying to get all religious or sanctified or anything on anyone, but I'm only speaking from my own perspective. Get help, get healing, seek help, find somebody that you can confide in, seek counsel. uh some things that saved my life was getting involved in counseling, um uh being able to have somebody, being able to write my emotions and expression, dance, get involved in the creative arts, do things that are really gonna uh help you to work on your identity. Work on a lot of self-help. Do get involved with a lot of self-help, and I actually have some things that can help you. I have resources and things. Please reach out to me. I would love to help anybody who's out there who needs a friend, who needs somebody to confide in. I am your safe space. You need to have a safe space. These ladies are safe spaces too. And just know that there are people out there who are on your side and who are rooting for you and who have your back.
And we do want to give you the chance to participate in Shameless Plug, as we do with all of our guests. You see all of your information scrolling across the bottom here. If you could just let our viewers know how they can contact you, utilize any of your, ministry healing services. If you have anything for sale, any merch you have out and available, anything, groups or causes that you're advocating for, anything that you want to share and put out in the world, you have the floor.
Oh, you guys are so awesome. So you can find me on Facebook under Michelle Padgett or Victorious Michelle. On TikTok, I'm on Instagram. They'll put the handles in there. Um, I also have a freebie to offer all the viewers today, to help you get healing in your soul. I have resources on healing the inner child. I have resources on She Heals. That's all about healing from domestic violence, sexual abuse, the traumas, journaling. It has a lot of daily devotionals and things like that. Uh, Find me. I would love to help anybody. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm an author. I would love to help you get your story out there. Also, I am writing a collaboration book, 2 of them, and I would love to have anybody who this pertains to. I am writing a book on con men and con women. And I would love to have a collaboration with those all around the world who have a story that's like a wow story that's going to impact the world, where you can get your voice heard, because it's not about me, but it's all about I want to spread the love and be able to help as many people as I can.
I'm interested. We'll talk about that
Bring
later.
it on, girl.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll
Yeah.
reach to you later. So I just want
Bring it
to,
on, girl.
I'm going to reach out to you after this. I want to thank everyone for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences. I want to thank Michelle, because we've chatted. I've seen her testimony, but I did not know it was this deep. So I'm going to edit our description, because she really opened up and shared a huge testimony with y'all, and we never know what we're going to get on Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, but this is a platform for anyone to share any life trauma, and we have many. So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube, Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, because we're going to continue to share these life experiences. Ain't that right, City Sid?
That's right.
That's right. She had to get that mic off. Michelle, we want to thank you again for your braveness and your courage. And I know this reopened up some stuff. And I just want to thank you for just getting through it. It's never, we always think it's easy, but sometimes this brings back things that we have been through, and it makes us rethink things, and just that continued healing piece. So we definitely want to thank you for your strength and courage to share today.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for everything. I gratefully appreciate it, and I look forward to connecting with you more. And I look forward to helping as many people as I can around the world. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Michelle, if you can hold a second as we wrap up and end. Thank y'all for tuning in. Tune in each and every Monday at 8 p.m. ET. And me and Sid may be surprising you with some lives on Wednesday. So we will see. Have a blessed day. Peace.